That lady right there. Her name, make no mistake about it, her name is Twanka L. Davis. Her name is spelled Twanka. It's not Tawanka, it's Twanka. Like, I don't know how else you could even pronounce it as something else. Twanka L. Davis, who's age 21, she is accused of leaving her 2-year-old daughter. That little girl right there. She looks like an innocent little baby. She's accused of starving and freezing her baby to death amid a filthy, rodent-infested condition in her home, and that's according to a sworn affidavit. How do we even get here? What could this little girl have done that was that bad? I don't understand it. That's the mother. That is the face of the devil right there. I don't understand what would possess her, how she can rationalize that in her mind. I don't understand how we get to that point. Because I'm going to tell you guys, a lot of times we talk about where's the father. The father was involved in this story, and we're going to talk about the father a little bit, okay? But we're going to put a pin in that for a moment. So take your pen, bookmark that part of the story. We'll come back to it, okay? Now, the affidavit filed Thursday said Davis was arrested Wednesday afternoon and booked on preliminary charges of murder, involuntary manslaughter, and endangering the life and health of a child. Preliminary charges are subject to review by Macon County State Attorney's Office. Now, the child was taken from her mother. I want you guys to catch this. The child was taken from Twanka, with that wild name, in 2018 during an investigation of child abuse and placed in foster care. Not placed with family, not placed with the father. This child was placed in foster care. What's going on with my brother relationship rehabbing? Y'all make sure to check out his channel. He does an amazing job. Y'all make sure to subscribe to him as well. After the child was taken in 2018, she was returned to the mother in August amid accusations of wrongdoing to this kid, and you put her right back in danger, and now the little girl is dead, right? DCFS is investigating allegations of abuse and neglect in this case. We have had prior contact based on previous allegations of abuse and neglect. You guys catch that? They already knew that it's been reported. As you guys know, what do we say? If you see something, say something. And it looks like that took place here. So now the responsibility falls on the state to do their goddamn job, which they continue to fail to do so. They had prior contact based on previous allegations of abuse and neglect, said Jimmy Whitelow, a spokesman for the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, speaking Thursday evening. He would not answer any further questions about the family's history with DCFS, but we're going to talk more about that. Now, Decatur ambulance service personnel said that they found the body of Tanasia Barnes, age 2, wrapped in a soil blanket that smelled of urine after police were sent to the home in the 1800 block of East North Street at 7:48 a.m. Monday to investigate an unresponsive child, according to an affidavit. I'm going to say that one part again. It's a little bit difficult to say. 2-year-old Tanasia Barnes was wrapped in a soil blanket that smelled of urine. Medical staff indicated the core temperature of the child was so low it would not register on their device. That's how cold the baby was. That's according to police officer James Wrigley, and he said that in an affidavit. I am getting so tired of people in my comment section think that I don't know what I'm talking about, and they say, well, your facts are wrong, your facts are wrong. And I'm like, why don't you, in this, let's just say this particular case, and let's not even say all the other cases. Let's just talk about this one. For that baby right there. Go ask police officer James Wrigley if that's what he said in a sworn affidavit that could be used in court, that he could be found guilty of perjury if that is not exactly what he said. So y'all go and go do y'all research, and y'all go look these sources up, and y'all tell me, am I the one with the wrong information? Because they haven't called out anything that I've said wrong, but they just say my facts are wrong. Like how? I'm getting this from the court, and I'm getting this from the police. That's literally something that you can research, and people just won't do it. It's just beyond me, right? Now, let's move on. We'll move past the little pity stuff. And I want to say thank you to everybody else that's already hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, just scroll down below and just hit that thumbs up for me, okay? Now, officers on the scene at the residence documented the overwhelming smell of urine, feces, and rotten food and garbage. Officers documented the temperature on the thermostat inside the residence, and it registered at 45 degrees. I'm going to tell you guys this story again. For me, I'm a motorcycle rider. When the temperature is below 55 or below 50 and 60 degrees, my hands get cold enough that if I stayed out in it, I could actually develop almost like frostbite. It would affect my core temperature to the point that where I would be shivering and cold. That is very, very abnormal for a house temperature to go below, let's say 65, I guess? A house would be probably considered to be freezing between 60 and 65 degrees if you looked at the temperature on the thermostat. And this house registered at 45 degrees. Let's move on. Wrigley said that the thermostat was actually set to 75 degrees, and the temperature in the home rose while police were there. And this is the conditions that this baby was left in, okay? This is a 2-year-old. No telling how long this baby had been dealing with that. Now, Tanasia Barnes was pronounced dead at the emergency room at HSHS St. Mary Hospital at 8:06 a.m. Monday. Wrigley said that an autopsy was performed Tuesday, and the preliminary findings were physical neglect, malnourishment, dehydration, and cold exposure. Now, I actually have a video from the father, and we're going to hear him talk more about this here in a little bit. Now, he said the child's weight was just 21 pounds for a 2-year-old. To put that in the proper perspective so you guys can understand how little 21 pounds is for a 2-year-old. My daughter and a friend that just had a baby the other day, or excuse me, actually my neighbor, by the way, had her baby, and her baby was almost 9 pounds when she was born. My daughter was almost 9 pounds when she was born. The moment that they come out, almost 9 pounds. And you're talking about 21 pounds for a 2-year-old? That's really, really, that just know that that's really, really low for a 2-year-old, okay? Now, while she was in foster care in July, Tanasia was seen by a doctor, and she weighed 25.8 pounds at that time. That's what Wrigley wrote. Again, that's the police officer. Wrigley said Davis, age 21, which we're going to talk about here in a moment, and her 25-year-old boyfriend have a 1-year-old son that is also the boyfriend's child. He slept in his parents' bedroom where there was a heater that had been placed in Tanasia's room. Wrigley said Davis told police she had removed the heater on Sunday and placed it in the bedroom to replace the one that was broken. So they have no central heating and air. I mean, we're talking about if adults are having difficulty living in this stuff, then why would they continue to keep bringing more children into this, this decrepit ass situation? It's just beyond me. Twonka admitted that she routinely turns the heat off in the residence at night and had turned it off on Saturday and Sunday evening, said Wrigley. Twonka, the mother, admitted she would not stay in temperatures in the 30s and 20s for a long period of time because she would freeze to death. Let's keep going. Wrigley said the low temperature on Sunday, the day before Tanasia's body was found, had a high of 32 degrees and a low of 20 degrees. Documenting further the conditions in the house, Wrigley said Tanasia was kept in a bedroom bare of furniture except for a toddler bed with no sheets or blankets. In the middle of the room was littered with rodent feces, more than likely rats, was an empty 2-liter bottle and an empty half-pint vodka bottle, which Davis says she had used to give her daughter water. That lady. That's what she did. That's what she put her daughter in, those kind of conditions. Tommy talks about this all the time when he makes fun of these ladies that are scrolling around on live and showing their house and showing where they live. And he always points it out like, wait a minute. These are grown people that don't have any furniture in the house. And more times than none, they have kids. So you guys are starting to see how these things are starting to kind of come together. Tommy's message, my message, how they relate to each other. The things that I bring up in these stories, if you turn around and hear this story and then say, wow, that's messed up. This kid ain't got no furniture, no sheets, nothing on this bed. And turn around and listen to what my brother Tommy talks about. And he talks about the fact that a lot of these mothers that are caring for children don't have any furniture for these kids or for themselves. This is very commonplace. How many times have I done stories just on this channel just in the past few months? Very similar to this baby's story. A lot. Way more often than I should even have the opportunity to do. No sheets, no blanket, no furniture except for a toddler bed in the middle of the room that had rat shit everywhere. And there was an empty 2-liter bottle and an empty half-pint vodka bottle, which Davis said out of her own mouth she used to give her daughter water. Damn. Davis is quoted as telling police she had given Tanasia a meal of red beans and rice and chicken around 7 p.m. Sunday, the last time she had seen her. Twonka explained that she told Tanasia to eat her dinner, and Tanasia had told Twonka no. Twonka advised she noticed Tanasia had not eaten her lunch. The mother told police that she checked on her daughter at 7:30 a.m. Monday, finding her lying on the floor uncovered. Twonka advised she shook Tanasia, who was unresponsive, and then called 911. Wrigley described living conditions in the house as appalling, with a stench of garbage and urine throughout. The only bathroom had a toilet filled to the brim. Filled to the brim with a dark brown colored liquid, and the plumbing to the kitchen sink was disconnected. Signs of rodent and insect infestation were everywhere. I want you guys to keep this in the proper perspective. DCFS had been called out to this house multiple times on her. In order for your house to look as decrepit and nasty and stink and be as filthy as it is, it doesn't just happen that just because you had a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, you just didn't feel like cleaning. There was too much that needed to be done. No, that happens over time, and that is something that has been developing, and that's something you could have seen from a long way away. That's months and months and months, if not years of neglect. It doesn't just happen that way just because, oh yeah, man, the plumber was coming out that day. Or you know, my landlord forgot to do this or forgot to do that. That happens because that's been the case. All right. Now, the couple's son was removed from the house and placed in protective custody. Wrigley noted he weighed 28 pounds and is 1 year and 2 months younger than his half-sister. Questioned about the neglect and the death of her daughter, Davis says she gave her food, but doesn't control if she eats it. That's what the mom said. The mom said, I gave the little girl food, but I can't control if she eats it or not. Does that I can't control what happens? Does that sound familiar? Does that statement sound familiar to anybody in the chat? Somebody that would say something as stupid as that? Well, I can't control that. Just saying. Twanka accepted no responsibility for the death of her child, said Wrigley, and her father, and we're going to talk about him in a minute. Let me see if I can get his picture up on the screen. I'm going to show you guys the father. I'm not going to show you guys too many photos of him because he's not implicated in this. The father of this baby is Dartavius Barnes, who spoke to reporters outside the courtroom saying he had thought of kidnapping his daughter to remove her from what he knew to be poor conditions. And he said, I actually had thoughts of kidnapping her. I had thoughts of doing that, of kidnapping my daughter to try to get her out of there, said Barnes, who lives in Springfield. But in the end, I didn't want to take the chance of going to jail, but I knew she was living in bad conditions. Does that not sound exactly like Michael Garrett in the Anaya Day Garrett case? When he knew that his daughter was in danger, he could have literally have kidnapped his kid and just said, I'm not sending you back home to your mom. I never encourage you guys to break the law. You have to follow the law. And in order for these things to work out, we have to get the laws changed. Hopefully we can get these laws changed before these kids lose their lives. He very well easily could have just kidnapped his daughter and then he'd be in jail and then he damn sure wouldn't be able to do nothing for his kid. It'd be better for the father to fight for his kid outside of jail than be in jail and be subjugated to the system, and then you can't do jack shit for her. Now, Davis remained held in the Macon County Jail Thursday night in lieu of posting $1 million bail. She is due to appear in Macon County Circuit Court, and this is back in at the end of February. Now, court records show that Davis and her boyfriend are also litigants in an ongoing case involving the city of Decatur. Amy Wachs, assistant corporation counsel for the city, said that the couple has violated the city ordinance by failing to have trash collection service active for their North Street home. So they didn't even have a trash service coming to come take away their garbage. She said that the city has filed a petition for the court to enforce an administrative judgment that requires Davis and her boyfriend to obtain garbage service and to pay related fines and fees within a certain period. Now, this is about the boyfriend, because this was news that I didn't have before we started the show. Her boyfriend. Let me see if I can get his picture on the screen. Bam. Right here. This guy. This is Twonka's boyfriend. Okay? This dude is 25 years old. His name is Anthony Myers. We're not going to scroll past his picture. We're going to keep his picture on the screen for just a moment. Anthony Myers, one of two people that were charged in connection to the death of 2-year-old Tanasia Barnes, pleaded not guilty in court on Wednesday. Anthony Myers was the live-in boyfriend of Tanasia's mother, Twonka Davis. The live-in boyfriend. That means that this dude literally moved into this woman's place that didn't have nothing in it, in this barren ass, nasty, filthy, stinky apartment. Anthony Myers is charged with homicide and endangering the life and health of a child. Twonka is also charged in Tanasia's death as well. She pleaded not guilty back in February 27th. Let me see. So Anthony Myers, age 25, was arrested for first-degree murder, felony endangering the life and health of a child, and misdemeanor endangering the life and health of a child. This little baby right here, like, it's just like, I don't understand how grown people continue to just gang up and just abuse the hell out of children. So go ahead and get this fair use popping. Thank you to everybody that already hit the thumbs up. If you would, please hit that thumbs up for your boy, okay? Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Police have arrested the mother of a 2-year-old who died in Decatur. 21-year-old Twonka Davis is charged with murder. She also faces charges of involuntary manslaughter and endangering the life and health of a child. The police report says preliminary findings from the autopsy suggest Tanasia Barnes died from physical neglect, malnourishment, dehydration, and cold exposure. Officials say when they found her, she was extremely dirty and was wrapped in a soiled blanket that smelled strongly of urine. Employees at a child advocacy group in Decatur want the community to be aware of warning signs of neglect.
It's not a person's job to investigate that suspicion. It's simply your job to report it so that it can be looked further into by someone who is professionally trained.
What did she just say to everybody that's listening? What did she just say? Did she not literally say what I say in every single show? If you see something, say something. I don't want you guys putting yourself at legal risk being arrested or anything like that. Our job is to make sure that we inform, make sure if you see something, say something, let the police know. Is that not what she just said? Let's listen again.
It's not a person's job to investigate that suspicion. It's simply your job to report it so that it can be looked further into by someone who is professionally trained.
Thank you, Amanda. Let's go ahead and move on to the next video. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Anna. The autopsy also found Tanasia was extremely malnourished and dehydrated. When police asked the mother about her daughter's weight, she said she gave her food but couldn't control whether she ate it or not. The 2-year-old weighed 21 pounds when she died. According to health officials, the normal weight for a 2-year-old is around 30 pounds. Shock and outrage. Tanasia Barnes' father reacting today to his oldest daughter living in a house of horror. He says he tried to intervene, but DCFS failed her. Our Justin Carter sat down with him today. And Justin, what did he have to say?
You're getting ready to hear from the father again. His name is Dartavius Barnes. So you're getting ready to hear from him. Hit that thumbs up for me. Share the show. We should have a few more people in here, but that's okay. Share that show for me, okay?
This is devastating, Stacey. Dartavius Barnes says the last time he saw his daughter was in October, and he knew something was wrong when he says he saw rashes, bruises, and what appeared to be burn marks all over her body. It's a father's nightmare. Dartavius Barnes gave us these photos, some of the last photos he ever took of his daughter during a visit last October. Scabbed up arms and legs, a bruised face, abrasions all over. He says Child and Family Services got involved.
I put my daughter in the tub. My daughter was weak, like she couldn't even stand up. I had to sit my baby down.
And she was doing this to the water.
She was doing this to the water, like she was doing this to the water, like she was just so dehydrated, bro.
He said,
Oh, Lord. Okay, guys, again, this is the birth father of Tanasia. I hate to say this. I really hate to say this because I feel like he's a victim in this. Guys, this brother's speech is so bad that they have to have subtitles just for you to understand what he's saying. I am not trying to be an asshole. I'm really not. Maybe he needs to slow down, speak a little more calmly or something. But Lord have mercy. I don't know how many times I've seen that. Guys, look at it again. They had to have subtitles to understand what he said. Look again.
I put my daughter in the tub. My daughter was weak, like she couldn't even stand up. I had to sit my baby down.
And she was doing this to the water.
She was doing this to the water, like she was doing this to the water, like she was just so dehydrated, bro.
he says DCF.
Sheesh. I've never seen anything like that.
Services got involved.
I put my daughter in the tub. My daughter was weak, like she couldn't even stand up. I had to sit my baby down.
And she was doing this to the water.
She was doing this to the water, like she was doing this to the water, like she was just so dehydrated, bro.
He says DCFS did nothing. Court documents showing young Tanasia was released back to her mom, Tawanica Davis, that same month because she said her child's needs were met.
They didn't do their job.
He says a coroner knocked on his.
They took the baby out of his possession and put the baby right back in the mother's possession, which is how the baby ended up getting killed.
She was doing this to the water, like she was doing this to the water, like she was just so dehydrated, bro.
He says DCFS did nothing. Court documents showing young Tanasia was released back to her mom, Tawanica Davis, that same month because she said her child's needs were met.
They didn't do their job.
He says a coroner knocked on his door Wednesday and told him the devastating news. His world shattered. Investigators say she was 21 pounds.
DCFS. Y'all got my baby back. Y'all killed my daughter. I've been begging y'all and asking y'all for help, bro. I begged and asked y'all for help and y'all didn't help me.
Guys, I'm going to tell you something. There was somebody that said that he isn't a victim. I just told you he is a victim. I'm making a clear judgment call on this. The father is a victim. Too many of us fathers are in these situations where we have no legal control over what's going on with the children that we produced and brought into this world. We brought that offspring into this world. We should be allowed to care for that offspring. We are prevented legally from being able to do so without some form of permission from the mom or some type of judgment in what do you call that? In family court. More times than none, the men and fathers lose in family court if the mothers aren't proven to be unfit, which means that DCF is the one that deems them to be unfit. And if DCFS does not deem them to be unfit, then the father is going to lose. He is the victim.
Investigators say she was 21 pounds.
DCFS. Y'all got my baby back. Y'all killed my daughter. I've been begging y'all and asking y'all for help, bro. I begged and asked y'all for help and y'all didn't help me.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right.
Now she's gone. Now you want to show me sympathy?
Her stepmom broke in. They tried to deliver gifts to Tanasia on Christmas Day, but they say Davis ignored.
I mean, I
Because the mother had power, she ignored it.
treated her like my daughter, so it's hard. Like we still have presents for her.
They say they'll fight to hold both Davis and DCFS accountable.
Never see her again. I would never see her pretty face again, bro, and I miss her.
Yeah, DCFS did not get back to us for comment, but they did say they are gathering more information. Barnes says he, though, plans to take legal action against them. John.
Right.
We start with breaking news surrounding new developments in the death of young Tanaja Barnes. Now, according to the Macon County Coroner, the little girl died of neglect, starvation, dehydration, and the cold. But this morning, the coroner's jury is ruling on her cause of death. News Channel 20's Anna Espinoza is live in Decatur right now. And Anna, can you tell us what this all means?
The coroner's inquest just ended and the coroner's jury did rule Tanaja's death a homicide. We weren't allowed to bring in cameras, but it took place in a small room with the Macon County coroner, 8 jurors, and a Decatur police investigator. The investigator spoke about what he saw when he entered Tanaja's home, including a strong smell of urine, and described the house as extremely dirty. And we learned a new detail that the family was using a stove to heat the water in order to shower. But the detective noted that the mother's boyfriend, Anthony Myers, stated that he was never late on paying any bills. The coroner stated that
he's probably talking about child support. He paid his child support consistently. That's what I'm talking about. He is a victim. Man, that's bull crap. The father is a victim.
That the mother's boyfriend, Anthony Myers, stated that he was never late on paying any bills.
You hear that?
The coroner stated that the cause of death was cold exposure due to environmental neglect. And after hearing the facts surrounding the 2-year-old's death, the coroner's jury did rule it a homicide. And I spoke with the Macon County coroner after the inquest, and he says that this is the final step in his part of the investigation, but he says that this only happens in about 10% of his cases. For now, live in Decatur, Anna Espinoza, back to you.
All right, thank you, Anna, for that very important new information there. Tanaja's mother, 21-year-old Twanaka Davis, is charged with her daughter's murder.
She said Twanaka, it's Twanka.
She's being held in the Macon County Jail. Now, the mother's boyfriend, Anthony Myers, is also charged in Tanaja's death. We're just learning he pled not guilty to those charges this morning.
So we got to get some more information about that dude. So if you guys run across anything else about him, we're definitely going to do some more following up, just as we do with all of our stories. And hopefully we can find a conclusion and get some justice for these kids out here. You heard?
The death of 2-year-old Tanaja Barnes has left a community grieving, including the foster mother who cared for her this past summer.
Somebody asked a very vital question. Quabina said, what was she doing with the child support money? Buying designer? Apparently she wasn't buying anything. They had no furniture. The kid's bed didn't even have any sheets on it. That's a very, very good question. I'm glad you caught that. What was she doing with the child support money? I'd love to hear from Mr. Barnes, from the father, if maybe he knows, if he could provide us some type of insight into that. Let me make sure that this sound is okay. Well, I have to check it here in a minute. I don't know if y'all can hear this video or not.
WAD's Darren Mullen talked with her earlier this evening. So, Darren, what did she say?
Sean, the one thing that came up again and again in our conversation was simply shock and sadness. Aisha Dean hadn't seen or spoken to Tanaja since she left her care in August. But the months apart didn't soften the blow of a life lost too soon.
She was a happy baby. She loved to play.
For at least 2.5 months, Tanaja Barnes spent her days giggling and playing.
She had little toys she played with outside, and she loved to dress up.
From June to August of 2018, the toddler called Aisha Dean's house home.
Well, I've been a foster parent for going on 13 years, and I usually treat all my kids how I want my kids to be treated.
By now, you've probably heard the heartbreaking details around Tanaja's death, and the Dean family is mourning too. But the pain they feel is also tied to the warm memories of the girl who loved to laugh with her foster family.
Once they come in my house, they're my kids too. Even though I hadn't had her too long, but it's still, you know, she still touched my heart.
This lady reminds me a lot of my mom and my dad, so shout out to her. My mom and dad were foster parents and been foster parents even before I was born, and I'm the oldest. And they always treated all of those kids like they treated their own kids. Showed them a lot of love, and we kept in touch with a lot of them. So I understand what this lady's where she's coming from.
And I'm hoping I touch her heart as well.
When DCFS placed Tanasia back in her biological mother's care, Dean bid her goodbye for the final time.
No, I didn't have any contact with her at all.
Man, that's so sad. That's so sad because, like I said, unless you've been in that position, like, you just don't know what that's like to know that you can't do anything for these kids except for what the state allows you to do. And I'm going to tell you something. This little girl will probably still be alive if she were in this woman's care. DCF 100% failed this kid.
I didn't have any contact with her at all. I sure wish I would have.
And that's all that's really left for anyone at this point. A load of what-ifs and hindsight. But for Dean, she hopes the 2.5 months she had with Tanasia were enough to give her a few fleeting memories of happiness and security. When a foster child comes through your front door, what is the number one thing you want them to feel the second they step into this house?
Safe. You're safe now.
We're going to stop that right there. That's beautiful, man. I mean, honestly, most of these kids in these foster care systems don't stand a chance unless they get in a good foster parents' home. We're about to wrap up here in just a minute, guys. This video is like 9 minutes. We're not going to play that one. But we're going to wrap up with this one here in just a moment. And then I'm going to read off the support that came into the show, okay? So if you guys want to participate, the links are in the description box. So you guys can click that to support this story and to continue to support our cause and what we advocate for children first, okay?
Any type of violence, it always hurts.
It was a painful night as one community showed support for a family who lost a 2-year-old this week. Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini.
And I'm Jessica Coons. People in Decatur held a vigil in honor of 2-year-old Tanasia Barnes. Her mother, 21-year-old Twanica Davis, is charged with murder, involuntary manslaughter, and endangering the life and health of a child in connection with her daughter's death. This all happened near North 18th and East North Streets. WCIA3's Ty Bateman is live in our newsroom tonight. Ty, you were at that vigil, and you spoke with the toddler's father tonight.
Jessica, it was an emotional night for him and his family, and some of them told me he was a great dad, and he always asked them for help whenever he needed it. Tonight, he had more than just the support of his family to comfort him. Balloons, bears, and candles were placed around the home where 2-year-old Tanasia Barnes lived. People who didn't know the toddler wanted to make sure her short life was honored. As her father made it to the house, his emotions poured out. Dartavius Barnes was heartbroken the moment he got to the home his daughter was found in. Police say when they got there Monday, Tanasia Barnes was unresponsive, extremely dirty on her hands, feet, head, and face. She was wrapped in a wet blanket with a strong smell of urine.
We were just in awe. I was like, no way. And this can't be true.
Dartavius Barnes was surrounded by loved ones. Strangers also stepped in. Brandy Brown is a community outreach volunteer. She says she wanted to be there to offer comfort, strength, and prayers for the family.
We just don't know any of the situations, so I think our part as a community is just band together, pray, let's get out in the community, make ourselves aware that we are concerned about one another.
The night ended with a song and a balloon release as a way to honor Tanasia Barnes.
I don't know if we can play all that music, though.
Now, another reason tonight was so emotional for Tanasia's father and the family was because he was supposed to get joint custody in the next month. They're going.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Man, did y'all hear that? Does that not sound exactly like what Anaya Day Garrett went through? Anaya Day Garrett was murdered by Sierra Day and Deontay Lewis. I'll never forget their names. 4 days before Michael Garrett was supposed to win custody. That's embedded in my heart. That's how I know I don't forget. Because my memory is really bad. He was supposed to win custody a month before his kid died. Listen again. That sounds almost exactly the same.
Now, another reason tonight was so emotional for Tanasia's father and the family was because he was supposed to get joint custody in the next month.
Did y'all hear that? He was supposed to get joint custody in the next month.
Now, another reason tonight was so emotional for Tanasia's father and the family was because he was supposed to get joint custody in the next month. They're going to continue to remember the toddler. They plan to hold another vigil for her in Springfield, where he lives, Live in the newsroom, Ty Bateman, WCIA 3.
Wow, man. Wow. Makes you wonder if there was some extra intent in there. But I'll say this. Let's go ahead and wrap up right there because I know we've been on this for a little while and you guys pretty much understand where we're at this point. I'll continue to say this. It is important for these children to be in the lives of their biological father. Nobody is going to care and love for these children like the biological father. If they do, it's very rare. More times than none, these children stand the best chance with the biological mother and the biological father underneath one roof. Because if those people were to be married, the children stand a better chance of living and thriving. If they're not under that same roof, then we probably shouldn't be having children. That's the best way that I feel that we need to start somewhere. Start at the foundation. If you have a strong foundation, then you can actually build something that should stand. I hope that for what she's done, this mother, you can't even call her a mother, this demon right here, Twanka L. Davis, and her boyfriend, get his name, Anthony Myers, throw the book at him, throw away the key. Not going to need to get him out of jail. I hope that they suffer for what they did, for abusing children and killing a beautiful little girl that could have been anything. That is my take on this story. Thank you guys so much for listening to the story. This is your boy, DJ Just Jay. You know we advocate for children first. We're going to cut the show right there.